Beings of Peace. Welcome to a program offered by the Brahmakumaris at the United Nations. Today, in honor of the United Nations World Mental Health Day, the Brahmakumaris have invited a mental health professional who's been a student and teacher with the BKs for 40 years. And we've invited her to share on the theme of mental health. But first, about the Brahmakumaris. The Brahmakumaris are an international spiritual organization headquartered in Rajasthan, India, which comprises a network of centers in more than 110 countries around the world. With a focus on personal transformation and world renewal, we support the cultivation of collective consciousness of peace and of the individual dignity of each human being. The Brahmakumaris began its affiliation with the United Nations Department of Public Information as an international NGO in 1980 and was accredited general consultative status with the UN Economic and Social Council in 1986. As a spiritual organization, the BKs support the purpose and principles of the United Nations, and we work to enhance spiritual perspectives at the personal, community, and global level. And this includes supporting the transformative 2030 agenda by using the spiritual trajectory of awareness, attitude, vision, and action. The United Nations has spotlighted mental health in an unequal world as this year's theme for World Mental Health Day. Mental health in an unequal world. But before we launch into that, let me introduce our guest, Diane Tillman. Diane encountered the Brahmakumaris in India in 1981 while taking a year-long sabbatical from her job as a school psychologist in California. As a meditator, she enjoys integrating the knowledge of psychology and spirituality. She has given seminars on personal development in 30 countries. And as a licensed educational psychologist, she is the primary author of more than 20 living values education books. She has traveled to all regions of the world to facilitate living values education seminars and workshops at conferences and schools and even in refugee camps. She's worked with educators, street children agencies, and UNESCO. We know that there are huge inequalities in today's world. And this is true in the area of mental health too. In most developing countries, the vast majority of people have little or no access to mental health services. So Diane, there are increasing concerns about mental health around the world. What can the Brahmakumaris do to help?
Thank you, Kiran. It's lovely to be with you. It's lovely to be with the BKs at the UN. So thank you for having me on the program. Yes, there's increasing concerns about mental health, and there is so much inequality. It's said that 75 to 95% of people in low to middle income countries do not have access to mental health. And in richer countries, it's often not much better. So not only is there a lack of services, but the polarizations and the inequality in our societies are making the problem more extreme. If we look at the pandemic recently with the isolation, the loss of loved ones, and the economic problems, it's also exacerbated the problems. So there's a huge increase in anxiety and depression, in domestic violence, and tragically in suicide. So mental health is deteriorating and is becoming more extreme as the social supports in our world are less. So in that context, what can the BKs do? One of the things that the BKs, or the main thing that the BKs offer, is they offer Raja Yoga meditation. They offer this Raja Yoga meditation to all people of the world, of any religion, of any background. It's a powerful method that has the understanding that we are all souls and that everyone is our family, that we are all children of God, and God is the ocean of love and the ocean of peace, and many other beautiful oceans. But this type of meditation is very recharging. It also, with its increase in peacefulness, in love, in power, in self-respect, in humility, and in patience, it helps us all increase our own well-being and grows our resiliency. So this increase in well-being and resiliency is so important for our mental health. It prevents problems. It enables us to deal with things better. And so it's a very simple thing that is not a mental health service per se, but is a very well recognized method to increase well-being, to increase resiliency, this ability to bounce back. And so it allows people to handle life better. There's many tools that go with this meditation. So the BKs also offer those tools. How to use the meditation and those perspectives to heal our own grief, to heal our own hurt, to interact with others with more love, with more respect, to be able to detach from negative things. And also it offers spiritual perspectives, because there's the meditation and there's the body of knowledge. This body of knowledge is fantastic and it's fascinating. It's both. So, for example, the BKs have interesting questions that they offer. For example, they will say, what would the world be like if it was peaceful? Imagine that. So they have questions, they have visualizations. If we can imagine it, we can become it. They truly believe that if we can have right action, and if we grow our character in a positive direction, that it will have a huge impact on the world. And so we need to, and then we would be able to detach from some of the negativity happening and know that if we are able to be the change we want to see, together as we grow those circles of caring and compassion and peace and respect and love, that we will be able to create a better world for all.
So you've mentioned how many people have lost loved ones and many people are depressed. And if people are not able to get to a center to learn this meditation right now, is there anything that they could do right today on their own, listening to this program, that can help them deal with the grief and the depression that they're feeling?
Yes, there is, Karen. I think one of the answers would be to pray or meditate in whatever way that you do. That always helps to connect with God. But there's many other things we can do too. I always say that there's a emotional depression and then there's a physiological depression. When we're weighed down with negativity, such as after the loss of a loved one, then our neurotransmitters become out of balance. And so one of the things that's really helpful is to walk for 30 minutes a day. A walk 30 minutes a day is equivalent to a mild antidepressant. So if you want to avoid becoming depressed physiologically, or you want to start to erase the effects of that, so as you do other positive things mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you can recover more quickly, then walk 30 minutes a day. Another thing is to cut the sugar and to eat healthy. When I work with clients that are depressed, one of the things I try to do instantly is get them off the sugar. And especially stay away from artificial sugars, because those can actually cause depression. But yes, they get so much better. They'll get 50% better. I have to work with them half the time if they can just do those two things. But also talk to a friend. Also locate where your grief is. It may be in your throat, your chest, your stomach, your gut. Locate where your grief is and visualize it. Maybe it's gray, maybe it's whatever. But know that there's two parts of you. There's our mind and our intellect. Our mind is where we live. That's where we feel. But our intellect is our executive function. So talk to yourself when the mind is feeling sad and you're feeling your pain in your body, your grief. Use your intellect to create love and create that love and put it around your grief. I know that when my father died, I'd carry my own pain in my chest, and I would feel that. It was pretty big, feel that pain, but I would consciously surround it with love. And maybe I'd be watering in the garden, or, I'd be doing housework in the house or whatever I was doing, or driving, but I would just constantly surround it with love. And after a couple of hours, it would go away. And then, of course, it would come back. But every time I did that, and I just knew that I was going to picture him in a safe place. Now, some of the listeners of this may believe that the soul goes to heaven. Others may believe in rebirth. I believe that every soul gets to meet God when they leave. And so I would picture my dad and how old he was and just keep sending him love and gratitude. So those are just a few little things that help. But if you have a friend that is in grief, one of the most wonderful things that you can do is to listen to the friend and make time with them. Please don't tell them what to do, but listen. Maybe ask interested questions. Don't be afraid of talking to them. How are you doing with the death of your? What did you really love about your mom, your friend, your partner, your child? But allow them to talk. Allow them to share about them. Don't tell them what to do. And do spend time with them. And if you're in a country where you've lost many people, then maybe gather in a circle once a week together and do whatever ritual you have, whether it's lighting candles and having a certain kind of food or whatever you do, singing, dancing, but create some community so you can give each other support.
Well, that brings me to another question, because it said in your bio that you worked in refugee camps, and also there's many people who now are, especially youth, who are in danger of suicide. And so in these kind of extreme situations, refugee camps, people who are suicidal, what have you found that helps increase wellness and happiness and nonviolence in those circumstances?
One of the highlights of my life was doing living values education in a few refugee camps. And the BKs were actually the seed for living values education in 1996. It was a program and is a program for educators, written by educators. And in 2004, an international organization took it over, so people would be reassured that it was not religious, but a secular program. And so working in those refugee camps was wonderful, because we went in, and in the first one, we spent 9 days with the refugee teachers, and they were so depressed. These were people from the Kiran tribe from Myanmar, Burma, and they had run into Thailand when their villages were burnt and fired upon by government helicopters. And so they were in trauma. And so when we worked with them, we worked with the teachers, 36 teachers the first year. And what we found is that they would hardly talk to us, but it was amazing, because one day I held a war puppet. I'd made it in their colors out of paper, used their colors of violence, and then I made a puppet for them out of their colors of peace, which were yellow and blue. And they passed it around in a circle, and their peace puppets got to talk to the war puppet. They said such beautiful things, Kiran. It was just absolutely amazing. And anyhow, we had them for 9 days. We talked to them about listening. We did exercises with them that they would do with the children. We came back in a year, 90% of almost all of the children, all of the students, except of one teacher, had 90 to 100% decrease in violence. The one teacher didn't do the program right. He just lectured the children about what they should do, but didn't let them share. Within 2 years, when we came back, there was 0 violence in the camp. But the teachers stopped beating the children. They started teaching the parents about peace. The kids totally got the importance of peace, and they were determined that they were going to be truly peaceful. But this type of thing that we did in the refugee camps, of creating a culture of peace, of caring and respect, isn't just needed in refugee camps. It's badly, badly needed in refugee camps, but it's also badly needed in regular schools in all countries of the world. In this country, in the USA, the suicides of children 11 to 14 are increasing. It's a tragedy. It's beyond a tragedy. But what would happen if we had schools where the adults were willing to be in their peace and their love and their respect, and yes, be firm when needed, etc. When I go into schools like that, like there's some incredible schools like that, it's a feeling of family. The standards academically are tops. The kids are loving. The mental health problems, wellness really increases. So I think that there's a lot of things we can do to increase mental health and wellness and happiness in the world. I think that it would need just a tiny, tiny percentage of the military budget, hardly any at all.
Mhm.
And I guess that brings me to the BKs and their work for the transformative agenda for 2030. And what that is about is that in 2015, they created these 17 sustainable development goals. And so the Agenda 2030 is the hope that by 2030, we will have achieved those goals and we will be able to have a planet that is peaceful, where there's no poverty, where there's no hunger. These are things, the lack of peace, hunger, poverty, no shelter. These are the things that simply exacerbate, dramatically increase mental unwellness, mental disorders, mental illness. So I think that if we all grow our peace, if we spend time, all organizations, all people of the world, looking at the part that we can do to build toward peace, to build towards kindness, towards compassion, towards fairness, towards equality, towards treating everyone on the planet as a valuable member, for indeed they are. Every human being deserves respect and dignity. So I trust that the people watching this program are already into this, but may we can continue together with even greater determination and more love and more peace, so we can help build a peaceful, loving, kind world of wellness for all. Thank you, Kiran, and thank you, BKs at the UN, for having me on the program.
Well, thank you very much, Diane, and especially for such a positive, hopeful message. And it looks like there's a lot of work to do, but it looks like it's possible to do it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank everybody for coming, and love to you all. Thanks again, Kiran. Bye-bye.
Freedom. Taking just a minute, I imagine myself like a bird taking flight, totally free. I am free, from the past, from complaint, blame, and desire for revenge. Gliding high above, I create space to gain new perspective, an opportunity to learn from whatever has happened. Seeing clearly, I can let go of all fear. I can trust who I am. I can trust life. I am free. Only the true me remains, harmonious, flying high.